Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 5 Star Revolution podcast, the one and only official 5 Star Revolution podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel right now if you haven't already, and also go over to Facebook right now and like and share our Facebook page, 5 Star Revolution podcast. Tonight, we have a very special guest, a veteran from the inside the pro wrestling business. His name is Triple X, SeXXXpress, Sexy Eddy. How you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, I am wonderful, man. Thank you for that beautiful intro. This is great. I am happy to be here on the show. We're going to have a good time tonight. And you know what? There's no limit to how many questions you got. Whatever you want to answer, I'm going to give you a 5 star answer. That's what I'm going to give you.
Sounds good, man. So my first question for me is, were you a pro wrestling fan growing up? If so, who's your favorite wrestler?
Yeah, I think everyone that wrestles, that gets to this level and continues on to get training and to get to do shows in the ring and to travel the world, you have to start somewhere. You have to have that love, that spark that every kid gets, whether it be in football, hockey, basketball. There's a spark that ignites that not only surpass the love of what you're watching, but the love to perform and do what you can do, and even if you're lucky enough to make a living doing this. So I had that love when I was a kid. I'd separated my brother's shoulder twice though, and my parents beat me up after that. I deserved it. And ever since I did that, I realized I started saying, do not try this at home. I kind of think that was partly because of my fault, as there was a lot of record number of kids being sent to the hospital when you're trying stuff like this. You're just imitating, you're mimicking your heroes. But growing up, I have to say, looking back, there was a few guys that caught my eye. I liked how they I liked how they looked at the camera, how they performed in the ring. Overall, it was like a lot of wrestlers could tell you. The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. He was able to do both sides, face, heel, and he was able to make a lot of those big guys, the Giants, make them look good in the ring too. I also liked, though, I enjoyed Ravishing Rick Rude, the model Rick Martel, especially as bad guys. I liked how they had a presence and they could just say a few words to stir up the crowd and get them going. This was something I loved as a kid too. I loved doing stunts and doing daredevil tricks and things like that. It's like I was climbing a ladder when I was like 3 years old. My mom found me on the roof and stuff. So already things like that, they started at an early age. Who knew that I would be doing this at all, and who knew that I'd be doing this for over 20 years? So man, it's just crazy how things fall into place. But everything happens for a reason, man. And so I tell that to a lot of the girls that I've had sex with before me. Hey, it happened for a reason, and that's how it is. So yeah. Sorry, I'm going to be mixing a lot of wrestling and sex because those two go hand in hand together. It's funny because a lot of wrestlers, when you start out, you got to wrestle whoever they give you. You got to wrestle anybody. You're ready to do it for free. You're going to pay your own gas money. Just like girls in the porn industry, man, they get all these guys thrown at them. They got to do all that, all the fat ones, the gross ones, the disgusting ones. But once you work your way up and you start getting top dollar in wrestling, you get to pick some of the opponents you want. You get to travel around the world, just like those girls, those hot ass hoes that you watch in some movies. They had to work their way. So, man, there's a good understanding we have with each other in any job. You got to work your way up the ladder, man.
So how'd you get your start into this crazy world of professional wrestling?
Well, watching it, first thing was I watched. I remember my dad would let me stay up late once a month on like Saturdays to watch Saturday night's main event. So already that was cool. That was like a bonding thing, where man, I get to stay up late. And then as I watched, I kind of understood it a little bit more. And yeah, it was a cage match, Big Boss Man versus Hulk Hogan. The old school cages where they had these big squares where you can fit your boots to climb up. And I just thought it was amazing watching the way that the people could cheer and the people boo. Like really got everyone involved, and I really liked that. I liked that they combined. There was like a lot of theatrics and the acting part, but I really liked the physicality of doing moves, of jumping off the top rope. I thought that was amazing because I've never been good to memorize lines. I always liked movies and TV shows, and that was something that I was thinking of doing, but I just couldn't remember much. And I want to blame a lot of the chair shots I've taken to the head throughout the years. But even back then, it was hard to remember lines, but to remember moves or to like have a choreography, I thought that was really cool. So that kind of sparked my passion for it, and that was like a childhood dream, which sometimes it goes away after a few years. You kind of think you have to grow up, but you never really have to grow up, man. You're only as it's your mind that keeps you young, and you're only as old as the women you sleep with. So that's worth the wisdom from SeXXXy Eddy.
So where did you originally start training with?
I started training in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and the school was Northern Championship Wrestling. Again, there's wrestling schools everywhere. I went to a couple to see how it was, to see what it was all about, and this one got my attention because when I went to see some of their shows, I really liked the performers. Some of them that stood out for me, and they made you bump like over 1,000 times on mats before you get to go in the ring, and then bump in the ring and take some falls. So I really liked that way of showing people. Back in the day, the olden days, it was kind of like a secret. Wrestling had a secret kind of group of people, and it was like they didn't want to let other people in this magical world, because it's like, if people know that, hey, there's choreography and things like that, they're gonna expose it and stuff. So as much as people will say that wrestling is predetermined, it's not like a sport where they say you really fight for a championship. You're here to put on the best show possible, but in doing so, you have to fall so many times that your body toughens up, and that by instinct, if you slip on the ice, you know how to fall and break your fall. So anyone could tell you, like, you're in a ring, you're not falling on cement or nothing, but there's wood underneath. There is a shock to take some of it, but you got to practice a long time, because anyone will try it, and maybe once or twice, 3 times. Oh, I feel fine. Try and do that like 20 times a match, and trying to do that a couple times a week. You see, your body's not used to it. So you really got to learn from a good coach. And I thank Mark the Grizzly. He was my coach. He never was on TV and stuff, like he never went to the big leagues, but he taught us a lot about the fundamentals of wrestling, basics, ring etiquette, just even the simplest thing is like wiping your boots before you get in the ring. Not everywhere does that, and it's just little things like that that could set other wrestlers apart. When you see certain things that some wrestlers will do, I'm like, okay, he's got a good background and stuff like that. So I thank my coach for sticking with me, because as some guys, everyone is a fan of wrestling. They want to try wrestling, but it's not for everyone. I recommend everyone go to a school and try it out. Have fun in your backyard with your friends, but see if it's for you. Take a couple classes, and if it's not for you, man, you could be a manager, you can be a referee. There's always room for everybody who has a love of wrestling. Even writing, script writing. Everyone should kind of come into the world. You'll appreciate it a lot more. Even for myself, getting some girlfriends coming to a class or 2 classes, I think they appreciated what I did a little bit more in the ring, and they're like, oh, okay, he's not just having fun with his friends, drinking, and then having sex in the hotels. Well, of course I was doing all that, but I was also learning my craft and trying to be the best performer as I can be. So, yeah.
For those listeners who don't know your character, SeXXXy Eddy, you mind explaining what your character is about?
Yeah, I like sex. That's I'm kind of do it all. I'm in the porn industry. I'm in the sex industry. I even spent a couple years with the Tibetan monks to learn my power inside, to express my power of the penis, and to make it very strong and able to take such beatings with neon light tubes or kicks to the groin, where I've been able to submit opponents through the power of my penis. So it's a whole storybook, comic book kind of characteristic world. I like to push the envelope. I like to exaggerate so much that people what they're watching and they just sit back and have a lot of fun. I'm always you half the time my tongue is out of my mouth when I'm wrestling, and if I'm wrestling against a female, I can smell some of the hormones. I know when there's fear. I know when there's sexual, there's something there. There's a connection. So I can read all that. And it's been with over 20 years of wrestling as the XXXpress that I've been able to own these powers and really, be able to dissect my opponents and break them down, whether it be physically, mentally, or I have to knock him out with my 5 pounds of cock meat.
So it's kind of like Joey Ryan's character, not to compare you to him or anything like that, but it's kind of like Ryan.
Even then, Joey Ryan, if you'll go back and again, the internet wasn't as big. DVDs were, but Joey Ryan based his character off of me, and it's like it's hard to do the research sometimes because it's more on DVDs. But he just got the internet. He just went viral at the right time, right place, right time. So long story short, I was the inventor of some of that penis stuff that was later often duplicated, but never, often imitated, but never duplicated, right?
Remember your first match? If so, did you learn anything from it?
Dude, I don't even know what I had for breakfast yesterday. My first match? Oh my God, that was in black and white days now. No, going back actually, my first match, it was at a Sugar Shack. So I don't know how big it's in the States, where people go and eat like very sugary foods, pancakes, sausages. It's kind of like a brunch where you go, a lot of family, and that's where it was. And I wrestled one of the guys that I had practiced with quite a bit. We were in the same year, graduating year of, or maybe actually, he was 1 year ahead of me. I was older in wrestling. I got in at around 20 years old, but he was in the year before. And, it went so smooth because we had trained so much together. And it was such a great feeling afterwards of like, wow, like they loved moments, the crowd hated moments. And we just did like we did in practice, but with a crowd there, and we turned up the acting, and it was one of the best things ever. I was like, you know what, I really love doing this. This is making me happy, and just every weekend you're waiting for your next shows. That was like the highlight of my week. You could see me where some people Monday morning they go to school or they're at work and they're frowning like, oh, Monday. And I'm like, couldn't wait to tell people how my match went. I couldn't wait till next Friday or next Saturday. It's gonna be great. So although wrestling beat the crap out of my body, it also gave me a lot of positivity that made me look forward to more things. That if you don't have something that you really love in life, it's hard to get through your weeks. It's hard to get through your months. It might even, cause depression and stuff. So whether it be wrestling, painting, piano lessons, whatever makes you happy, you need to spend time and do that. Do it for yourself and make yourself happy, and then you can make others happy.
So with 25 years in the business, what keeps you motivated to keep wrestling?
That's a good one because the pandemic really really hurt. It hurt everybody. I'm going to say it hurt the fans too. Or I had some fans writing me, telling me how they miss wrestling, and it encouraged me to stay in. I thought, you know what? How long is this thing going to go? And I know in the United States, wrestling continued in some states. Some states, I'm sure it closed down, or it closed down for a bit. But here in Canada, and the borders were closed, so there was no bouncing around unless you were essential. So unless you're working for WWE, AEW, or Impact, I think you were able to go back and forth. But that's not the case for independent wrestlers, the guys who wrestle for smaller leagues, even some that were on TV but not regularly on TV. So it put a stop on everything. And whatever you're doing in life, you can't just pause your age. So we're still getting older and stuff. So it kind of made me think, do I want to keep wrestling? But it was part of the fans were that wrote to me that kept telling me, when's wrestling come back? Hey, can't wait to see you back. That really helped me. And also the other wrestlers, because other wrestlers were depressed too. And so I spent a lot of time doing funny videos on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, just to make people laugh. Because if I can't entertain in the ring, I was like, at least if I can entertain on social media. And I really wanted to do that. Had some big plans, and it was really looking good. It was like a month before WrestleMania it was in Florida, right? It was supposed to be, and it was like a month before the pandemic hit. And yeah, a lot of things changed. It was in Tampa. I had my flight ticket and everything, and yeah, it changed a lot. But for those that there were some people they got weaker, and it was harder times. Some people got stronger. Some people took advantage of this time, like, hey, let me dedicate myself in the gym or do whatever I need to do to get better. I think I went the wrong route at one point, and I was just drinking a lot. I was drinking a lot because I didn't know what to do with my weekends. My weekends was meant for getting to the shows, hanging out with people that sometimes I hadn't seen in a year, depending on which shows you're doing or where you're at, and just talking about the good times, getting your match ready, having a great show, interacting with the fans, having some drinks, after party, and after the party, it's the hotel lobby, and after the hotel lobby, you got to freak somebody. You know how it goes. So I missed that, and it was just like people telling you got to stay home, you got to stay, and and I just drink, and it was tough. At least some of the wrestlers reached out to me, and we're talking on Zoom, and we're talking on different mediums, and it was like, hey, you know what? We can't see each other, but we're in two different countries, but we can have a beer together. And of course, one beer leads to 6 beers and stuff. And then after 6 beers, you're drinking a Four Loko, and shit's going crazy. But it was really good to reconnect with some people when you can't see them, when you can't give them a high five, a handshake, a hug. So it was that kind of made me really want to see my buddies again, and not just throw my hands up and say, oh, the pandemic won, I give up. No, we're all stronger than this, and we're all going to get through it together. We're all going to kick ass together, and we're all going to enjoy shows fully without masks eventually, and things will get as normal as possible, and we could all get back to doing what we all love doing, just having a good time.
With such a long career, I'm sure you have one or two funny road stories. Mind sharing some?
Oh man, one or two. Where do I start? Is this show PG? Is this show? I mean, what's your demographic? I mean, do kids listen? I can say a kids show. I can say whatever.
No rules on this podcast.
Oh boy, man, that's the magic words. Um, I, a fun one that I just did 2 shows, two weekends in a row. We were doing some camping shows to starting getting back into real life. Actually, in 2 weeks we have our first show indoors. So we're gonna see what the rules and everything how it's going. But so the past 2 weekends I spent with a buddy of mine, Viking, and we've got to travel to CZW together, IWA Mid South. Do some death. We did a couple death matches together. We even teamed together. We had a tag team called Beer and Tits because we were like, what's two of our favorite things? And it was like, you know what? It just goes hand in hand, beer and tits, like peanut butter and jelly. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, we were, after the show, we were enjoying some adult beverages, enjoying some, let's say like it ain't trick or treating, but we're enjoying some candies. And sometimes things go out of hand. We had a girl that wanted to come meet us, and some of the guys were like, hey, this girl wants to meet you, sexy. So come on down. We start having a little bit of fun from what I remember. And one thing leads to another. Me and my tag team partner got our fingers both inside this girl, and we're tagging. I'm giving a high five. So you can imagine the fingers going like this, and we're hand in hand, and I'm like, we're tagging in there. Not the whole hands, because that would be like a whale of a woman. But I'm saying, we had just a couple fingers each, but we're tagging. And I told him, and I said, there ain't many tag teams that have been this close. So you know what? This moment that we're having together, I love you, bro. And he's like, I love you too. And this girl is just yelling and doing, whatever. But we just was like, you know what? This is a moment that we shared together. So when you're tagging your partner in a girl's vagina, that's when you know you've got something good. It's solid. A brotherhood. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Sounds like a wild time, brother.
Man,
So,
wow. Wild, that's the understatement. Um, Even then, man, one time we were just driving to, we were going from Montreal, Niagara Falls. Let's say it's about 7 hours. And I just started mooning cars and just showing my ass. And there was, again, a car full of girls. Showed my ass. And then I had like a paper, and they were staying the same speed as us. And I was like, do you like what you see? They got close enough to read. This is before texting also and everything. Like, it kind of came a little bit later. But they're like, yeah, and then this and that. We exchanged little messages. The girls are lowering their window. I went on a date with the driver, which was funny. A couple of weeks after, didn't work out. That's fine. But how many girls? That's their first impression is like, here's my ass. Like, once they see you in your underwear or they see your bare ass, it's like, hey, what else? They basically seen some of your goods. So if they like that, you're in. um, I was just like, there's no shame. I'm showing my ass. We're gonna go for dinner. I don't care what we're gonna talk about. She saw my ass. It's all for a good time. Like, and you only do that with close buddies of yours. But I can tell you, when I get in the locker room with a lot of wrestling buddies I hadn't seen in a long time, our IQ level drops to about that of kids in grade 3. And we're just running around yelling pee pee, caca, poo poo, and having a great time. And yeah, it's you need to be kids sometimes. Doesn't matter what age you are. We're all adults. It's time to be an adult. It's time to be an adult. But sometimes you need to be a kid to appreciate life and to see life through the eyes of kids and how they see things. Uh, and then you could understand even your crowd better. Because once you know what kids are thinking, I think when I plan some matches, I could make them more entertaining. So I look around, I see it's a lot of kids, a kid-friendly show today. We're going to make it kid-friendly. If we're doing a show in a bar, it's 18 plus or 21 plus. Man, you know what? We're going to rock out with our cock outs tonight. And that's you got to always look at your crowd, read your crowds, and it's something you can only learn after doing a lot of years of shows and the experience you get from it. So the locker room is great. So everyone just remember, when it's time to be an adult, be an adult. When it's time to be kids, have fun. You can have your cake and eat it too. All right? That's from SeXXXy Eddy. You can have your apple pie and you can fuck it too. I learned that from American Pie. Great family movie.
so what can we expect out of Sexy Eddie in the next 3 years?
Holy shit, 3 years. I hope I'm still alive next week. Uh, yeah, you never know. I sometimes I'm looking up in the air. I'm like, wow, what a beautiful day crossing the street. You never know. It is pretty hard to kill me. I think I'm like a cat. I have 9 lives. I know I've wasted 8.5 of them. But in the next 3 years, here's what I'd like to be doing. I'd like to always on my bucket list is traveling more. Getting to visit new countries is one of my top priorities that I've realized in wrestling, because you never know if that'll be the one and only time you get to go in that country. So talk to everyone and learn what there is to see wherever you are. Just be grateful. It could be your last match. You never know. So just enjoy life wherever you are, whatever you're doing. That's one of the things too, is to enjoy every backstage I'm at. Um, Try and get better in every aspect of wrestling. I know my body can't jump as high as it used to. I'm not as quick as I used to be, but you know what? You gotta showcase your strengths and kind of cover some of your weaknesses. You can work on them at the same time while you're doing shows, and but you want to showcase your strengths so that if that's what you're good at, whether it be putting some comedy in your matches, high flying, power moves, technical wrestling. If you could put a little bit of everything, it's like a complete. You could be a complete wrestler, and depending on your opponent too, you learn with every match you do. Sometimes even what not to do. So if I can get better at everything, and if I can be of help to all the younger wrestlers, because it's the more I do this, the more when people come up to me and they tell me stuff that, hey, thanks, I saw this match, you did this then, it humbles me, and it really makes me feel old. Of course, I've been around the block for a long time, but if I can help anyone save, let's say, 2 years, 3 years of their time by knowing a couple things that'll save them time to get to where they need to go, then that's awesome. If anyone can use any advice that I've said and it gets them closer to their goal of whatever they want to be in life, whether it be in wrestling or something else, a life experience, or whether it's even dating advice. I love talking to the younger generation, and if they ask me some questions, man, if I can help them get to where they need to get faster, then that is my purpose on earth. When you're wrestling for over 20 years and you didn't get to where you need to get, you got to kind of realize also that maybe I won't make a full living out of wrestling. When you're in the independents, you have to either give yourself 100%, but if not, or if you have family, you got to do work on side jobs. Everyone has a job on the side until you get to that big break. You could sign a contract, and even when you sign a contract, things could end on an injury or something, and then you're back at square one, and you got to fall back on something. So, whatever you do, I'd say follow your dreams as much as you can, but always have a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. That's it. Like, because you'll learn a lot of life lessons in school that you won't learn if you don't go to school. Just like in anything you do, the more experience, the more different jobs you do, you're gonna learn stuff that will come in useful at some time in your life, and you never know what it is, but you're always got to keep learning. Um, Even old guys like me, we keep learning. I still sometimes I make the same mistakes. I'm like, hey, I shouldn't have drank that much, and that fat girl looked a lot thinner after all those drinks. Oh boy, did I use a condom? I can't remember. And then you fish it out of her pussy, and you're like, oh shit, okay. You wash your dick, you put the peroxide on it. You make sure to scrub it until it's really red. But as long as you learned your lesson, and you go get the pills you need to take care of whatever disease you have, and it goes away after a week, then live to tell and live to learn. Okay, so that's what I can say. Keep learning, kids.
So, Sexy Eddie, if there's one thing you wish you knew before you started wrestling, what would that be?
That one thing would be you're your worst critic. Everyone is their worst critic. I would have told myself, hey, if you think you're not good enough, that doesn't matter. It's what the other people think and what they see, and it's worth trying. It's worth going the distance. Go do that tryout. Even if you think you're not ready, the more tryouts or things that you do, it's practice. It's practice. And it's like whether it's in the wrestling ring, you go to these tryouts, you go as often as you can, you go to the seminars and you learn. eventually you'll know maybe a little more what they're looking for. And they might not be looking for you at that moment, but at a certain time, they might say, hey, your height, your size, your look, we need it for this angle. And whether it be an extra as a security agent, or if you get a speaking role, like a couple lines, like a lot of independent guys have gotten, it's led to them getting a chance to wrestle in a dark match and to do even more. Um, I could take good examples. These guys, they just got an AEW not too long ago, and they came fresh out of NXT. Guys 2.0. In NXT for 2 years, they were called Everrise, and they were kind of under the radar. Now AEW getting some high-profile matches, but before that, they were traveling, doing 5-hour, 8-hour trips to sometimes do nothing, but sometimes to be wearing a suit and be someone's background bodyguard or something. Everyone got to start somewhere, and then sometimes it's it's a lucky break, or it's someone's misfortune, or whatever. They're like, oh, couple guys, they missed their flight. We need someone to fill in. There's your chance to shine. So if I could tell myself something from the past, yeah, it would be go ahead. Uh, you know, Kick those doors down. If somebody gives you the ball, run with it. Don't just wait for your opportunity, because there's always someone who's better than you, stronger than you, faster than you, funnier than you. But is there someone with the total package that has everything and what they're looking for at that right moment? So I'd really stress to myself, hey man, go for it. Do some phone calls. Send your CVs, wrestling CV. Send your VHS for people that don't know. Before the internet, you're sending YouTube clips, you're sending hard copies, and mailing them out, and it costs money. So you really wanted to get your stuff seen. You were paying for it yourself. Make the travels, go the distance. For everyone that's starting out, help out to set up the ring, help out to take it down, ask questions, watch. And the most important thing is listen to what everyone has to say. Talking, you won't get to listen as much. So it's kind of, you got to just absorb, be quiet, and listen to take in all that information. Um, you're only going to learn. You're only going to better yourself. Yeah, I would have. That's exactly what I would have tell myself, is to persevere, push on, and don't be afraid to try and fail. It's better to fail than to never try at all. Then you
I
just
absolutely agree
right,
with that.
just left and wondering. So fail, 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 fail. Eventually you're gonna pass. Eventually you're gonna get there, and eventually you're gonna skyrocket and get flying grades, like in anything you could do in life. I tell that with girls too. I tell people, man, I don't know about this girl and stuff like that. Well, are you gonna marry her? No. Well, use her as practice. See what works. Talk to her. Try this move with your tongue and your fingers at the same time. Hey, if she doesn't like it, she'll tell you she doesn't like it. But then you'll get a girl, she'll be like, oh my God, you know what you're doing down there? Marry me. Maybe you won't want to marry her neither, but you know that she'll make you a meal every time you come over. So it's a win-win situation. Sex and food, where do you go wrong with that?
100% facts, my friend. And my last question for you, Mr. Sexy Eddie, is if there's one lesson that you learned in professional wrestling, how do you carry that on into your personal life?
Um, I think in wrestling, I've learned a lot about respect, uh, about learning. It's not just about the wrestling and the match itself, but talking with people, learning about them. Because I think once you you can talk to someone like a regular person, instead of like, hey, what would you like to do in the match today? Once you start talking to people a little bit, and you put them at ease, you're yourself at ease, your matches will get better. Because again, guys that do this for a living, that just wrestle and wrestle and wrestle, they don't want to talk always about wrestling. They want to talk about their family. If they're single, they want to talk about women. Maybe they want to talk about video games now. That's pretty popular now. I'm from the old school where, you just talk a lot about alcohol and women. But, whether it is global warming you want to talk about, whatever you want to talk about other than wrestling. And once you talk, you learn that we're all people first and foremost. Then I think the chemistry is better in the ring. So taking that into real life, it's got me more comfortable to talking with people, not just girls, but people in general, or public speaking, or even doing podcasts like this. You learn about yourself and about speaking to others. So it's all helped me. Like when a promoter says, like, you're in the main event, so I need you to cut a promo, and it's like, the more you do them, the better you get. So, and then when you talk to people, a group of people, there's more of a comfort zone, and so it's really helped me open up to people, to talk, uh, to know people better, and see that we're not all the same. We're different. Uh, to respect each other and our differences, and that's it. Like it's that's how I feel that they're very similar. Just to get to know people, get to know everyone, where they're from. Like we all have different backgrounds, different upbringings. Wherever you lived in, some people had tougher schools. Some people, learned things the hard way. Or and in the end of the day, we all want to have a good time. We all want to have fun. So you can have fun with people that maybe don't even speak the first same language as you. That's awesome. My experiences in Germany and England, especially in Japan, it's like you can't speak all the language and stuff, but with exaggeration of movements like we do in wrestling, has helped me communicate. And after a few beers and some sake, we're having a great time. And it's like you won't believe sometimes the things that are in the back of your head that are stored there, whatever language it is, it comes out. And then you could speak any language you want with enough alcohol. And in the bedroom, it's a universal language, man. It's just like, I've gotten to I've never been to Italy, but I got to go inside Rome when I met a girl. She barely spoke English, but we met at a resort, and we had sex in the ocean, and we both knew at that time, because I was telling her, salt water, no, it disinfects, it cleans everything, which wasn't entirely true, but I had to say I drank quite a bit when it's all you can drink on these resorts. So it was really fun. If I can't visit every country in the world, I'd like to visit the women that they have to provide for me all over the world, because I love all the women of the world.
So where can our listeners, especially the women, follow you on social media?
Yeah. So I'm on Twitter. I'm trying to remember. I think it's SeXXXy Eddy official 69, something like that. I know that people will find me because I'm always hard, but I'm not hard to find. Um, on Instagram, I think I'm only one naked Eddie, something like that. It's probably a picture of my ass or something like that, but you could find me there. And on Facebook with my real name, Eddie Dorozowski, or my fan page too on Facebook, SeXXXy Eddy. I encourage everybody, say hi, come see wrestling shows, come see independent wrestling. It's not all about WWE or even AEW. There's all other companies underneath. And for every star that's on TV, he started from somewhere. So they all started on the independents. So you want to be the first to say you saw CM Punk or Daniel Bryan, or whoever the guy is, buddy of mine, Kevin Owens. You want to say you saw him when he was starting out. Um, Go watch your independent wrestling. Go support the guys. Buy their T-shirts. Buy their merchandise. Buy a picture. Have a picture with the guy. Even then, if you don't want to buy a picture from them, buy them wrestlers a beer. We appreciate that a lot. And if you don't have money but you have a hot sister, just slide her my way. That's write that in my DM. Send me pictures and I will approve. So yeah, find me on social media. Ladies, send me your naked pictures. I love it. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And thank you for taking your clothes off for me and giving me a chance down your pants, ladies.
Well, Triple X, SeXXXy Eddy, Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. And for all you listeners, don't forget to go over to Facebook right now, 5-Star Revolution Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, 5-Star Revolution Podcast. SeXXXy Eddy. It was a great pleasure. Thank you so much, sir. Have a
Thank you
great night.
for having me. Everyone, the party is always going, man. COVID out, party's in. Let's get naked. Woo, yeah!
Thank you, sir.